All right, we turn to shot or no shot. Here's Shea Norling. Shea?
All right, yesterday, ESPN's Booger McFarland weighed in on the top two quarterbacks from last year's draft, Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams, and he was not giving a glowing review of Caleb. Listen to this.
There are a lot of people out of Washington telling me that this young man, Jayden Daniels, not only does he look the part, his teammates know he looked the part. And I think Caleb Williams is going to struggle, and I think Jayden Daniels is going to come out the gate flying. And we're going to have this conversation, Greeny. Mark it down. July the 16th, whatever it is, it's 100 degrees. Did the Chicago Bears make the right pick? We're going to have this conversation again.
Shot or no shot, Jayden Daniels will get off to a stronger start than Caleb Williams.
That's a no shot. I just think that Caleb Williams is a ready-made quarterback. And again, we go back to the weapons. If you don't think that Caleb Williams will get off to a C.J. Stroud-like start, okay. But here's the thing. There are no excuses because he's got several running backs he can go with. He's got 3 wide receivers. He's got 2 tight ends. He's got a remade offensive line. It doesn't work automatically, Carm, but the idea that Jayden Daniels has some leg up on what I think is a ready-made team to win, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, like based off of what exactly? I guess I'd like to know from Booger. And like I hear from Washington how great he looks. His teammates love him. Well, I'm not sure what else you'd expect to hear at this time of year from when you're talking about a kid that was the 2nd overall pick. Booger's an LSU guy.
And when Jayden Daniels went to what school?
LSU.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's maybe Jayden Daniels is better in 5 years. I really don't know. We can all pretend like we do. Nobody was talking up the fact that C.J. Stroud was going to be C.J. Stroud a year ago this time. Okay, nobody, or at least very few people. This idea that
it's nobody.
Like nobody.
Yeah.
So this idea that it's easy to predict or that everybody knows or. I don't know. Maybe Jayden Daniels will be better in 5 years. I hope we're not ever having that conversation. Did the Bears do the right thing? I think Caleb's going to be terrific. I hope I'm right. Been wrong plenty of times before. I hope I'm right on this one. I don't think the Bears are going to have regrets. I don't think they'll look back. I think Caleb's going to be terrific. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it's still a dumpster fire in D.C., Shea. It still is. They still okay, with the Houston thing, let's just go back just for a second, Carm. The reason why you were right, there's nobody that thought that C.J. Stroud would be there. It's not against the kid. It's about the organization.
That was part of it.
You got Easterby running the organization, and you're firing black coaches left and right. I mean, that's exactly what was saying. Well, that's what happened, right?
But then they hired another one, so at least that was good.
Oh, you counting them? But anyway, so. No, just kidding. No, but I mean, you're just firing coaches left and right. So what I'm saying is, they have no direction.
You're right.
That's the point.
And he's so good. And I think D'Amico Ryans needs some credit for this too. But they're elevating that franchise. Yeah. CJ's, that's what you want your quarterback to do. That's what you want it to look like. He is elevating that franchise. And I don't think anybody saw that coming. It was a historically good rookie year. And it's a great story. I mean, it really is. So I don't know how to compare it to Jayden Daniels. I hope it looks right and looks good here. That's what I care about more than anything else.
I just feel like Caleb has a leg up on what Washington is doing.
I think so too. Yes.
Dan Quinn is starting from scratch, organizationally, with a new owner, starting from scratch. So I just think that Caleb will have more of an opportunity to succeed faster.
I think the situation's a little bit better here.
Nothing against Jayden. Just talking about the organization, because that matters too.
Yes.
I will say something against Jayden. He stinks. I didn't think he was a first-round pick when I watched him. That guy pulls down and scrambles when he has open receivers more than any guy I've seen. If you're asking who's going to get off to the hotter start, I actually would lean Jayden Daniels because he's going to run a lot more and be asked to do a lot less for his offense. People might watch him for 4 weeks and go, this dude's got it all. And then week 5, 6, 7 roll around. You go, oh, actually,
I see what you're saying,
he needs a lot of seasoning.
It could fool people a little bit. And no disrespect meant too much here, but the way Justin at times, I think it fooled people because it looks so spectacular with his legs and he's such a good athlete. But eventually that well runs dry in this league. We know that. No matter how fast you are, no matter how athletic you are, everybody's athletic. Everybody's fast.
Yeah.
And defensive coordinators, by and large, are good. And that well inevitably will run dry the way it did here with Justin.
Yeah, there's no question about it. But when I look at Caleb Williams and I look at Jayden Daniels and these two, I look at both organizations and
Two African-American quarterbacks starting against each other in the Super Bowl for the first time, fittingly. February 12th is Abe Lincoln's birthday. Here we go with the highlights.
Shea?
Jeremy Fowler of ESPN has been releasing positional rankings. He's surveying executives around the league. Cole Kmet did not crack his top 10 tight ends, but Jaylon Johnson did crack the top 10 corners.
Okay.
Ranked 8th.
Yes.
Ahead of him, some guys like Jair Alexander in Green Bay, new Titan, L'Jarius Sneed, Chiefs corner, Trent McDuffie, some of the stars of the league in front of Jaylon Johnson. But shot or no shot, 8th is still too low for Jaylon Johnson among cornerbacks.
That's a shot. That's a shot. He's actually one of the more sure things on the Bears defensively at his position.
I would agree with that. But I'm going to say no shot. Like, I think we're splitting hairs here. He's 8th. Should he be 7th over Jair Alexander? I mean, aren't we getting a little too nitpicky? I don't know. I mean, I think there are clearly some guys that are better. Sauce Gardner comes to mind. Pat Surtain comes to mind. McDuffie probably, even though he's a little bit younger and a little bit more inexperienced. L'Jarius Sneed, I think. So I don't have too much of a problem with it. I think we're splitting hairs a little bit.
No hairs. It should be in the top 5, Carm. What are you talking about? That guy's a shutdown corner. He's not Dion, for God's sakes. But
he is not.
But I'm saying, though, don't you think the arrow's pointing up for the young man?
I think he trended in a great direction last year. He was hoping to get paid. He did. I think that will continue. I hope he doesn't rest on his laurels. He finally started taking the ball away a little bit. I think there are plenty of positive things around Jaylon Johnson. It's all trending in a good spot as he enters his prime.
Shea.
The Cubs start their second half after finishing the first half somewhat hot, with much of the conversation still surrounding whether they should buy or sell at the deadline. 4 games under 500 today as they start the second half. Big Cat and Sylvie, I heard earlier this week, said they won't be bullied into believing the Cubs should be buyers, but shot or no shot, if the Cubs can get to 500 in the next 10 or so games, the next couple weeks before the deadline, they'd need to go at least 7-3 in the next 10 to get back to 500. They should buy.
Well, let's unpack the bullied into believing they should buy. Well, no one's got it. No one's bullying you into anything. You fan how you want to fan. Like no one's. Here's the thing. I would say that if you're a better baseball team and you can get better in the wild card, if nothing else, then you should add on to your bullpen. One of the major issues with this team, Carm, is that 7th, 8th, and 9th is unreliable.
Yes.
So if you feel like you could compete for the wild card, you should add on. Buying is an off-season term. Adding on is as in-season. The way I read it, Shea, is you're adding on while you're in season. Buying, to me, is off-season, hot stove talk.
Sylvie had a great stat yesterday. Do you know what the Cubs' record is over their last 260 games?
No, what's that?
130 and 130.
So Ross should still be here.
They're the White Sox. Remember the White Sox from 2 years? No, the White Sox 2 years ago with Tony were a 500 team exactly dead even over 300
like a year
games.
And a half. They're exactly 500. Are they just mediocre? It seems to be the answer to that question is yes. Now, the White Sox fans, I'm taking the White Sox glasses off. They seem to be just mediocre. I thought the Cubs were going to be better than this. I picked the Cubs to win the Central.
Had them in the playoffs.
I did too.
Yeah.
But at some point, don't you look at a stat like that? You look at the run differential, how close it is. They're not really lucky or unlucky. Maybe this is just it. Maybe we overestimated how good they were going to be. Maybe this is just it, Hoodie. 130 and 130. I thought it was interesting when Sylvie presented that stat. When do we stop and just say, this is kind of who they are? They're not terrible. They're certainly not great, but they don't. And again, I picked them to go to the playoffs like Hoodie did. I picked them to win the division. Now I've watched 3 months of baseball this year. I remember a lot of last year. Maybe this is does that look like a team that's competing to win a World Series or go on a deep playoff run?
No, but
I know baseball's weird, but it doesn't look like it.
But Jed told us at the beginning of the season in the Colorado series at Wrigleyville when we were over there that he said that we're not there yet. That's bold to say, by the way, because every general manager lies, or every front office guy lies, or tries to give you a mistruth or a little white lie. But he said that, like, we're not Atlanta, we're not Philadelphia, we're not going to be at the top. But you can't go back-to-back seasons now and have no playoffs and think that you can survive. All I'm telling you is that you got Milwaukee, Arizona for 3, Milwaukee for 3, and then you go on the road, Kansas City, and then Cincinnati into the deadline.
Tough stretch of games, actually.
Okay.
Some pretty good team.
Well, if you're still in the mix and you feel like we could get a shot at this thing at the wild card, Carm, then you add on to your bullpen. I've always maintained that they need more offense. The chair that you're sitting in right now is telling you that it's about pitching, but offense gets you through. It does. Because the starting pitching for the Cubs is not bad. It's good enough. Like in this series against Arizona, it's Steele, Hendricks, Imanaga.
I think their pitching's quite good, actually.
Fine.
Their starting pitching especially.
It's fine.
And you look at some of the numbers since July 1st, since June 1st even, if you want to go back that far, the Cubs starting pitching has not been the problem. You're right about that.
It's a weirdly constructed team where the starting pitching is good enough to keep you in ball games, but then the relief corps takes you out of it.
Yeah, well, that's a big part of the problem, and you can't outslug some of those issues. To your point, 9th in runs in the National League, 11th in OPS.
Well, that's all. That tells a story, right?
Yes, it does.
You don't have star power.
You don't have a star in that lineup.
And you don't have that kind of slug to get you out of it if you're going through a slump. Put the team on me, right? Put them on my back. There's nobody in that lineup that can do that.
No. Happ comes close at times, but
Bush is very good.
Bush is good. I thought Bellinger would be better. I thought, and not that he's been bad. Again, it's just sort of like, okay. But no stars. Doesn't appear to be like a real difference-making star in that lineup.
We have more baseball with Jesse Rogers coming up at 8:35. But Shea, can you sneak in one more because we got to round the NFL next?
Yeah, very quickly. One of the most dominant athletes of my time is cooked. Tiger Woods is taking shots from Sky Sports commentators for being hopped up on painkillers. Just look at his eyes. Shot an 8 over yesterday. He's in danger of missing his 3rd consecutive major cut. Shot or no shot, it's time for Tiger to retire.
That's a no shot.
Oh, that's a no shot.
It's a no
Well,
shot.
retire.
You know why?
Senior tour.
Senior tour.
Yeah, well, him against Marty Fish. I'll watch that. you saw that right over the weekend. Him against Mike Mulder.
Mike, oh my God,
Right?
is that right?
Barkley. I mean, that's what you'd want now, right?
I guess.
If he can't be like at the Open or the majors anymore.
Yeah.
Well, let me see you on a nice, summer Sunday. There you go. The celebrity tour.
There's Tiger, little celebrity.
A little Tiger, Charles Barkley, Marty Fish, a little Mike Mulder.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
Marty Fish is awesome, by the way.
Marty Fish.
That guy can get it done. Have you seen him? Pretty good.
On the golf course?
Yes. What do you mean? He's very good.
Is that right? I mean, he's an athlete, so okay.
I'll pull it up.
I did not see this.
They just competed last weekend.
How did I not see this? I mean, I can imagine he's good enough. He's a world-class athlete, so that's hilarious. That's too funny. I'm going to say it's tough watching Tiger get around these golf courses. I got to say, I think we're getting into shot territory there, Shea. I mean, it's just tough. He can't make it around. He can't navigate the golf course physically. He just can't. I mean, it's sad.
It was the American Century Celebrity Tournament.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. What are you laughing at?
I just love it.
Annika Sorensen was in
am I
there?
going to watch him play against Martin? I'm like, are they going to play tennis? Oh, they're playing golf on the Celebrity Pro-Am. All right.
Joe Paveleski was in there.
That's awesome.
Joe Paveleski was there, the hockey player.
The hockey player.
Billy Joe Tolliver.
Pavelski.
Yeah, Pavelski. How about that?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, him. Not good. So why can't they be in Lake Tahoe and Tiger compete there?
Let him go do that. Even that's going to be tough. He can't get around the course physically. He can't do it.
I still believe in the Casey Martin card for him.
Maybe we should just get him the Casey Martin exemption.
Yeah.
Remember?
Get him in there.
Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What are
Shea,
we fighting about?
Shea, that's when you need to be on the air during that time. The fight about Casey Martin, whether or not he should have a card or not.
I would have loved Shea's take on that.
Oh, Shea,
does he know who Casey Martin is?
Yeah, no.
You don't?
No, I do. But
you do?
If Tiger's ever in a cart Dude, just stop playing golf.
No.
For the love of God.
It's like at what point, you're like Bob Hope out there in the cart for crying out loud. I don't think Bob Hope was in the cart. He was 90.
not.
He was playing, right? I mean,
We give thanks.
Let
Memories.
me remember Tiger as the guy who was sinking chips. And
I know.
Like, I don't need to remember him as this guy who can't walk around a course.
it's tough. It is tough to watch.
We thank you so much. Thank you, Bob.
Look at his eyes. He's hopped up on painkillers.
Well, you got to give it to those Sky Sports commentators. The journalistic integrity be damned. Well, he's all hopped up on painkillers.
I think he's high.
That's awesome.
We're not making it up, folks. That actually happened.
Oh,
We heard the audio. It's unbelievable.
It happened.
Around the NFL's next on Cap and J.